Give us 1 second, everybody. We got to make sure that the sound is live for this, that it's on for the live stream. We're gonna live stream this one. Yeah. Testing 1 2, 1 2. Test test. Is all good? Okay. All right. All right. So let us go ahead and begin with prayer. Our Father, we thank you so very much for all that you do in our lives. We thank you for how good and for how kind you are. We thank you, Lord, for your grace, your love, your mercy. We thank you, Father, for all that you do in our lives that sometimes we forget to ask you, and you never forget. So you fill in gaps that we haven't even prayed for. Father, you answer prayers that we haven't even prayed, but we feel them deep in our hearts. And so, God, I'm asking that tonight as we come together, that you would help us, that you would open our hearts and our minds to be able to hear your guidance, your wisdom, your direction. I pray, Father, that you would allow us to learn the things that we need to learn so that from a spiritual as well as a financial perspective, we find ourselves smack dab in the will of your lives for each and every one of us. Father, we ask that you would bless our time together. It's in the mighty name of Jesus that we ask it and we pray. And everyone said together, Amen. Amen. Huh? I told them to turn it down in the house because it's a few of us, so you guys should be able to hear me. You like the amplified sound? Oh, okay, gotcha. All right. So, can everybody hear me? Okay. All right. Here we go. All right. So, all right. So let's begin. So this is our second class of Invest 101. Your money needs a job. If you agree with that, say amen. All right. Right. And so and so one of the things that struck me as I was preparing for tonight was that and this came from questions that I had and comments and things that people sent me via text message and otherwise was I got to be careful because I need to make sure this really probably needs to be two different kinds of classes. And the reason why I'm saying that is because there are some of you here, you're actively investing. You're already kind of in. You're ready to go. And then there are others of you who are brand new to everything investing and you've never heard about it. You hear, you catching it. It's a good idea, but there's a learning gap because you haven't quite figured out or understood all of the different components and parts to it. And so there's an elementary piece that I need to make sure that I'm teaching, but then there's also a little bit more of an advanced piece. So what I'm going to try to do tonight is I'm going to try to do a little bit of both, okay? So we're going to start elementary, and then we're going to elevate a little bit, okay? So I'm going to attempt to satisfy everybody. So here we go. Lesson number 1 is Bible study, all right? This is one of the first lessons I teach my young people in Vallejo. The money is in. Y'all ain't get it yet. The money is in. Again, the money is in the patience. The money is in the patience. Okay? And so the reason why I say that is because when we start talking about money and people often think about their financial situations, normally what I get, and I get this from my young people, but I get it from some older folks too. And people be like, all right, Coleman, listen, I got this hot 500. I need a quarter meal by Friday, right? And so, and I don't know how to do that, right? And so when I figure it out, I'll let you know. And what I tell people is the money is in the patience, right? And so being able to make money, to invest money, to grow it, it's a patient person's game. And you have to learn patience. If you do not have patience, if you listen to me carefully with this, if you do not have patience, if you do not have patience, I'm telling you right now, don't do it because you're already at a disadvantage. You have to learn how to be patient because the money is in the patience. And the more we talk, the weeks that we come together and talk, this will become so clear to you. You will discover why I'm telling you the money is in the patience. Okay? All right, so here we go. So just a little Bible study. How many of you consider yourselves to be loving people? Right? So, if sometimes, okay. All right, so so in other words, if you consider yourself to be a loving person, it's okay for you to trade. If you're sometimes a loving person, you don't need to trade all the time. Right? Why? Because love is patient, right? And so you never want to approach the stock market in a rush. Okay? You never, ever want to approach stock market, none of that. You never want to approach it in a rush. This is one of the things, and this patience thing is big. In fact, I teach it to my kids. My daughter found out exactly how serious I am about it when her car went out and she needed to buy a car. And so she was like, Daddy, can you go with me? Because I don't know what I'm doing. Can you go with me to buy a car? And I was like, sure, no problem. And so we went down to the car dealership, and the person got to talking fast and saying this, and we can get you in here and do this, and and she was like, ooh. And I was like, okay, thank you very much. We'll get back to you. And she was like, Dad, they're about to. And I had to have the conversation. Sweetheart, the money is in the patience. Trust me, this person doesn't like you that much to want to give you the deal of the century, right? And you're talking to a frontline salesperson. They don't even have the authority, right, to give you what it is that you're really looking for. And by the time we went to like 10 to 12 different dealerships in about 6 to 7 different cities, and she learned that you could get cars cheaper depending upon what city you in, right? And so she started figuring it out, and then she got bold because she was like walking into places, and she was and we get in the car and be like, you hear how he tried to sell us on that? I was like, yeah. And so she sees it, and so again, love is patient. Here's the next scripture, Galatians 6 verse 9 says what? Together. All right? That's called patience, right? You got to be patient. If you want to reap a harvest, you can only reap a harvest when you plant a seed. You can only get the harvest from the seed if you're patient enough to wait for the seed to germinate, for the seed to sprout, and then for the results to come from whatever it is that sprouted. Amen? All right, here we go. Number 3. Ready? Read. All right, first part, be for nothing, right? Don't be in a rush for anything. One of the things that I learned kind of just studying the life of Jesus, you know what I discovered? I never, one of the things that, and I'm going to challenge you, go read through the Gospels. And because one of the things I found, I never saw Jesus ever in a rush. Yeah, he would let stuff die. He wasn't in a rush. Listen, and this is where we kind of get frustrated with God too, because God doesn't move according to our schedule, right? And so, and this is it's a good lesson to learn. Everybody else's emergency is not necessarily your priority, right? It's just not. Right. And so be careful. Like, and again, it's not saying that we don't care about other people. And it's not saying that we don't care about things. It's not a position of complacency. It's really a position of patient assurance that God will take care of what needs to be taken care of in the proper time. Right? And what you and I have to be careful of is thinking that we can control outcomes. Right? We cannot. And so, like, I'm just telling you, warning you, patience. Like I've made a lot of money being patient. And I've lost some money being impatient. Right? And the thing that will expose your level of patience is when you start putting your money into investments. I guarantee you. All right? So here we go. Next, last one. Ecclesiastes 7:8 says, and all right, so now if you are a believer, follower, disciple of Jesus Christ, as believers, as disciples, as followers of Christ, we ought to be the most patient people on the planet, right? Because the text tells us all over the place, and these are just 4 scriptures, but it tells us all over the place about taking your time, being patient, don't get in a hurry. And some of you have lived long enough to have learned this lesson. It is far easier to get into something than it is to get out of it, right? It is far easier to get into something than it is to get out of it. All right? So here we go. Why is patience important? Why is patience important? Because stock investing, whenever you start talking about investing, and again, this particular class is about stocks. And so whenever you start talking about investing in stocks, you're talking about risking. Okay? There's no way to invest without risk. You have to risk something, okay? And if you're going to risk, here's the truth. You work hard for your money. You know what I mean? You wake up, you go to work, you do what you need to do. Some of you who are older, you have worked. You spent 20, 30, 40, 50 years working. And you got your money sitting somewhere and you want to grow it, but in order to invest it to get a return, you have to risk. And what you don't want to do is you don't want to carelessly throw your money out there because you're in a hurry. Take time, be patient. You ain't making no money on the money you got anyway. So be patient and learn how to make your money make money. And once it starts, I guarantee you it will never stop. Okay? All right, here we go. Next part. So what we're talking about is building your financial house. That's what we're talking about. Building your financial house. So you got to see your finances like a house that you're building. And you don't build a house in a weekend, right? That's not how it works. Now, I will say this. I no longer believe there was a common theme that I think was running through most people's minds is that you go to school, you get an education, you get a good job, and then you retire from that job, and then you live happily ever after, and then you leave some stuff to your kid. I no longer believe that is remotely a possibility for most people in these United States of America, particularly the United States of California. Right? And so if our senior years are going to be comfortable, listen to me carefully. If we're going to have enough to retire and enough to live like we want to live, to give like we want to give, to help like we want to help, to do some of the things that we've always wanted to do. I'm telling you, it is necessary at this point. Necessary to invest. You have to. Y'all ain't hear me. You have to. It's necessary. Let me explain this piece. We always thought, go to work, get a job, get this pension, and retire, and then I get my Social Security on top of my pension. Listen, you got companies, they stop giving pensions. Some companies, ain't no retirement. And some of them not only have they stopped giving pensions, some companies who are giving pensions have cut the pensions that they were giving. Right? And so let me let me explain this next part. Be careful of trying to rely on what I call social insecurity. Right? And here's why. This stuff comes from a lot of this stuff comes from the Social Security Administration. Here's what they said. The core problem is funding. The program's main trust fund is projected to become depleted within about a decade if nothing changes. 10 years. Right? Once the trust fund is exhausted, taxes alone are expected to cover only a portion of promised benefits. A portion of promised benefits. Meaning Congress would likely need to cut benefits or raise taxes, which will cost you more, or both to keep the program afloat. Right? Demographic trends. Fewer workers per retiree. Right? Longer lifespans, slower population growth make the stress on Social Security worse over time. See, one of the problems with Social Security is that people start living longer. Right? Right? You know, medical advances, all that kind of stuff. Folks living longer because people used to die at about 50. Right? 50, 60. Now, man, listen, we 70, 80, 90, right? We making our way to the 100 spot. And so that puts that, and they hadn't counted on that, right? And so lastly, because of this, many analysts expect lawmakers to continue debating and enacting reforms, raising the retirement age. That's actually happening now, right? That's actually now. Because retirement age used to be what? 62. It was 62. Then it went to 65. Yep. Now they floating at 70. Right? Right? So raising the retirement age, changing how cost of living increases are calculated, increasing taxes, or reducing benefits, especially for or they arguing on Social Security. So as a resident expert, am I telling the truth?
In my union, the union I'm in, it's 70 on the ladies.
70.
It's 70 right now.
Yeah.
I got 3 more to go. It's 70 years.
Yeah.
I'm under the old law. I got it in 93.
Okay.
I'm under the 62.
Okay. Huh?
I'm under the 62.
And you can't live on that. You can't live on the full amount. No. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a cold piece. It's a cold piece. All right. So here we go. So watch this. So what we have to do, and this is so I got it again. This is like, for some of you, this is going to be old script. For many of you, you came here just for this part. Okay. So what you want to do, and what we're about to talk about, it doesn't sound like stocks, but I guarantee you it is. And we'll pull it all together. All right. So what has to happen is this, because the money's in the patience. What you want to do as you are investing, right? As you begin to invest, you're building a financial house. Are you with me? You're building a financial house. And what you need to do whenever you build a house, a structure, it has to sit on a good foundation, right? It has to sit on a good foundation. And so here's what I would say. You need a good foundation. And your foundation consists of 4 things. Everybody needs these 4 things as a financial foundation. Are you with me? Okay? Here's the first one. The first one is you need an emergency fund. Okay? Now, an emergency fund is not a savings account. An emergency fund is a fund that you have that you forget that you have. Okay? It is money that you sit to the side for emergencies. Okay? Let me define what an emergency is. An emergency is when something happens in your life that you can't control, but it changes your ability to function normally in life. So that pizza on Friday is not an emergency. Are you with me? Right? You know, okay, I'm going to stay away from it. But okay. So you need an emergency fund. And here's what it looks like. What you need is you need to start, you want to have at least 1 to 3 months of your total monthly living expenses set to the side. Okay? So if it takes you $5,000 a month to live, that's your bills, that's, you know what I mean? It's what you do. It's your bills, your gas, your cell phone, your Xfinity, your whatever it is. Whatever you pay monthly for your living, you want to take that amount and you want to set that to the side. When you do that one time, that's 1 month, which means this: if you have an emergency, if something comes up and you can't work for 30 days, you're cool. Because you can tap into your emergency fund, and that emergency money will cover your living expenses for 30 days. So you don't have to think about this. You don't have to think about being disrupted in the next 30 days. You can be infirmed in peace. Okay? Now, what's good is if you have up to 3 months. Because now you can be sick 30 days, you can be sick 90 days. You're good. Right? You're not worried, you're not stressing. What's better is 4 to 6 months. Okay? Now this one here is probably where most people who build emergency funds, most people kind of camp out there for whatever reason. Probably fatigue. But most people kind of camp out there at 4 to 6 months. Okay? And that's a better thing. So, for instance, I know several people recently in the last couple of weeks who, or really in the last couple of months, actually, if I'm thinking about it, who lost their jobs, right? And one person I know had an emergency fund. And they were like, man, I'm tired of working, man. I'm going to just sit around for a couple of weeks and I get back in there. Right? And then the other person was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Right? Because I have this coming up, that coming up. They had no margin. They had no cushion. Right? And so it is emphatic that we have an emergency fund. It is a part of your financial foundation, right? You have to have an emergency fund. And in order to build your emergency fund, for many of us, here's what you got to do. You have one of two choices when it comes to building your emergency fund, or one of three. If you look at your outgo and your income every month and you have reserves at the end of the month, but you don't have an emergency fund, you need to take that money and begin building your emergency fund. If you are in a position where you are right at even with your income and your outgo, or you may even be under, you got one or two things that you have to do. You either have to make more money or you got to cut expenses. I do not have a magic bullet for that. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to share my little testimony real quick. Is that okay? You taught this is the third time that I've been for this particular lesson.
Mm-hmm.
And the second time I paid attention
Mm.
and I did what you said.
Mm-hmm.
And last year, this time last year, when my apartment got flooded, and then I had a new eviction. Oh, not this time last year, when my apartment got flooded,
Mm-hmm.
and then I had to have a knee revision right behind that. I had my emergency fund
Mm.
because I followed what you said.
Yeah.
I didn't have 3 months, but I had 2.5. Y'all, I saved $10,000
Mm.
in a year and a half time.
Come on now.
I did what you said.
Come on now.
We didn't go out.
Yeah.
I didn't have lobster pasta like I was supposed to before.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know, like not the movies. My movies is my thing.
Right.
It costs $30 just for me now.
Yeah.
So not the movies.
Yeah.
And I just want to tell you what that's about.
Listen, praise God for that. Listen. Yes. Listen. Hey, go on and celebrate that. Go and celebrate that. Right? And so, because see, what she just said was God provided for the emergency. Now, she could have spent it early, but she didn't. She took the provisions that God gave her and she saved it up so that when there was an emergency, there wasn't two emergencies. Right? And so once again, better is 4 to 6 months. Great is 7 to 9 months. 10 to 12 months is the best. If you can do a year's salary and put it to the side, listen to me, you are gravy. Right? You are gravy. In fact, you're going to go to work with a little different attitude. Now, you know, I ain't really got to be here. You know what I mean? Right? So, right? And so now I do. So there was a way that I used to think about this, and I no longer think about it the way that I used to think about it. So what I will say is this. For some of us, and everybody's different, everybody's circumstance and situation is different. But for some of us, I would say that we should have at least 1 month as a minimum before you start investing. Okay? You want to have at least 1 month set aside before you start talking about putting your money someplace to invest it. Why? Because there is risk. Okay? Right? There's risk. And you always want to have you always want to create a way to get back. Does that make sense? Right? And the way you get back is your emergency fund. So it's like if you're investing, you got to think of it like this. When you're investing, you got to leave breadcrumbs. That's your emergency fund. You got to leave breadcrumbs. Because if you get over here and get hit in the head, you got to make your way back home. Right? And if you don't have anything to help you get back home, you got a bunch of problems. But the way you get back home is you just go pick up the breadcrumbs you've been dropping down, right? That's your emergency fund. And that's going to take you all the way back home, all the way back to your base, and then you can start over because, and it's just like, and I'm going to explain why this is so important. Because once you start building a structure, right? I don't know if any of you who ever did real estate or is a part of real estate development and all that. Whenever you start building a structure, right, you start putting walls up and windows and doors and all that kind of stuff. You got stairs and upstairs and all that kind of thing, and the house is beautiful. But all it takes is a little bit of fire. And a little bit of fire will bring down the whole structure, but guess what it will never touch? The foundation. And you can always start over if you have a proper foundation, okay? So the first part of the foundation is the emergency fund. The second part of the foundation is life insurance, okay? You need life insurance. Please do not have insurance on your phone and you don't have it on your life, right? You have to have some life insurance, right? Now, when you get life insurance, and I don't want to turn this into a whole life insurance conversation. There are a bunch of life insurance vehicles out there that you can choose from. I'm not telling you which one to choose from. You decide based upon your circumstance and situation. But what I am telling you is that what you need in life insurance, don't run out and go get you a $10,000 policy, right? I just need enough to bury me. Listen, it's 15. And that's cremation. So, you know what I mean? So here's what you want in a life insurance policy. You want 10 to 15 years of your yearly salary, right? Now, this is particularly important. If you're single, it may be a little different. If you have a family and children, listen up. You want to have at least 10 to 15 years of your yearly salary. Why? Because if you happen to leave, your family is without that income for a protracted period, forever. And you want to be able to replace what your income is to your family with your children to make sure that they're going to be okay. Does that make sense? I would recommend it. Matter of fact, I would recommend that all black people get at least $1 million in insurance. Here's why. It'll stop the police from killing you. Once they find out, everybody got $1 million policy, so the moment you kill us, we get richer. So, little humor, but it's a strategy. Anyway, so 10 to 15 years of your yearly salary, and then include any large bills that need to be paid off. So if you have a home or whatever, or your family has a home, you want to make sure that that they're able to pay that stuff off. Okay? Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm. Term. Mm-hmm. 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 On what part? Yes. Yeah. Okay, so here's the piece about life insurance. I was headed here, but I just hadn't got there yet. But I would say that you should get life insurance as early as you can and get as much as you can. Our insurance agent was looking at us really, really strange when we called them when our kids were like 3 weeks old. But that's the cheapest you'll ever get insurance for them. And so, because the moment they start looking at your medical records, and if you got something in there, they don't even want to deal with you, and it's tough. So, again, I would recommend that you get it as early and get as much as you can. If you're older and you need insurance, there are some wonderful companies that do not burial policies, but that actually do term life. Term is going to be your cheapest bet. I got a policy when I'm 58 now. I got a policy when I was 47, 48, $750,000, and it's about $800 a year. Yep. Yep. And so, because what I had done before I discovered all this stuff, what I had done was I would get like a $20,000 policy or a $50,000 policy or whatever, and what I was doing was I was getting policies that made sense for the age I was, right? I wasn't thinking long term. Like my mom and dad, like when my dad died, we found like $4,000-$5,000 policies, and that's my point. It was a lot back then, but when we're thinking about it, we always have to think forward into the future. So my policies is term, and it doesn't expire because term expires. My policies don't expire until I'm 80, right? And it's about, like I say, $800 a year, and my cost is fixed. And so, but again, that took a lot of searching to find the company that will do that kind of thing, right? And so,
Could I add to that? too,
Yes.
For people that do own homes, one, you can't, okay. One of the things that people bypass is when you have your homeowner's policy, you can buy insurance inside of your homeowners, outside of this life insurance. So if you own a home, you want to make sure that every caveat that you have inside your homeowner's policy, my policy now will, if I become unemployed and I can never work, my house is paid for. That's cheaper than going out at this point, at my age, my old age of 58, going out and trying to buy a life insurance. I have a life insurance policy separate. However, inside your homeowner's policy, if you don't have it now, make sure that you have the proper premiums paid inside those policies. So if anything happens, if I die, or even if I don't die, but I become disabled where I can't work, my house in its entirety is paid off.
Yeah.
So make sure that you understand the policies that's available that you have that you don't know about. It's like there's even multipliers inside those policies. So it's not just about running out and getting a policy. Make sure you understand the policy. My life insurance policy has an investment part of it.
Yeah.
Right. So take the time to, Pastor Coleman said last week, read and understand what's available to you, because a lot of times we don't do that. We just sign up and we don't have the proper insurances to cover.
Yeah.
And that's part of that is emergency fund.
Yep. Real talk. And so, and again, like I said, there's a lot of vehicles out there for insurance, and there's a lot of strategies. For me, I'm not asking you to duplicate my strategy. I have a strategy that works for me, right? So my strategy is I have term, and then I've looked up how much money a $750,000 policy would cost me if I went whole life or variable universal and all of that. And whatever money, and it is substantially more than $800 a year. And so, what I do is that money, since I'm not paying it in insurance, I put it in the market. Yeah. So I'm covered if something happens before 80, but by the time I'm 80, I should be a gazillionaire. And at that point, I don't need the insurance. Right? And so, because what I'm passing on will take care of absolutely everything, right? So hopefully that makes sense. But that's my strategy, right? But again, your situation, your age, your health, your strategy, it might be different from mine, okay? And so what you have to do is to talk to somebody who can help you walk through that and read, okay? Very, very important. Yes?
I've heard that people take out bonds instead of having insurance and gain the interest off of that. And then if something happened to them, they just cash in the bond.
That's another strategy. Yeah, that's another strategy. Yeah, absolutely. And so on your insurance, you want to make sure you choose a trusted beneficiary. Okay? And so somebody you trust who can handle what's coming through if you pass away. And then let someone know where your paperwork is located, okay? Like, so, right? So, yeah, let somebody know. So this is what we just did. We just had a family meeting, and a part of our family meeting was, I had on my list, we have to teach our kids where everything is, right? We got to put it where it's accessible to them, but then we got to teach them this is, if we pass away, here's what's going to happen, right? You're going to get a ton of money flooding in, and you're going to have real estate, you're going to have responsibilities, you got tenants now, you got taxes, you got, right? And that's the other part, right? Is us a part of this foundation is also building into it tax strategies to be able to pass things on to the next generation, right? So tax free, right? Which is, and I'll get to this one and then we'll get to the sweet spot. Yes.
I was going back, if you don't mind, just to appointing a beneficiary. Mm-hmm. Me and Tony was recommended one, and we went to go see her, and everything was absolutely wonderful until we had to begin to list people in order of who we thought would be the responsible one, and the responsible one isn't always your favorite
Correct.
child. And so and that's where our catch-22 is now. The first of the year we're getting all that together, but we really had to think about which child, which adult, because they're not children, would be able to do it. And it's looking at who they are now. We don't know how long we're going to live and if they're going to mature past this point.
Right.
And so, and even the likelihood of a fight starting. I mean, it's some stuff that even our medically, who will make the decisions and all of that kind of stuff, because a trust doesn't just talk to you about your money. You know, what if you get sick? Do you have, who will be your power of attorney? You know, who will do your directives and all of those kind of things. So that was important for us to really.
No, you right there. I skipped over the retirement part. We'll come back to it, but that's what you're talking about. So listen, this is what the Lord wants us to hear right now. So you have to have a living trust, right? If you have assets, you got to have some kind of trust, okay? And let me tell you why. Because without a trust, and you pass away, everything goes into probate. Probate is going to take their sweet time dealing with your stuff, and then they're going to charge you 30% of the estate. And then right, you got capital gains to pay, right? And so you want to avoid probate. Okay? And so you gotta have some type of trust. Now you decide whether if it's going to be revocable or irrevocable, right? And again, I'm not going to get into a whole deep trust conversation. So if you don't know what those are, you got to talk to somebody who know who those are. In fact, two good people to talk to, Miss Fran and Mr. Prince, the king and the queen. They're well versed in setting up trusts and all of that, and how the different ways that it covers you and helps you and all of that. But inside of your trust, you will have power of attorney over health care. You will have power of attorney over your finances. What does that mean? That means that if you pass away, and depending on how your trust is worded, even if you become disabled, who is next in line to handle your business? And you want to do that. In our trust, we had it set up. We're going to have to update it and change it, which is right here. We got to update it and change it because our kids are older. So the way that we had it when the kids were smaller was that my mom would have power of attorney over the kids, right, over child care. My brother would have power of attorney over the finances, right? And so, and we did it, and again, and so, but now, you know, people pass away too, and, you know, other things happen, and, you know, life changes. So you have to keep your trust updated. So we're going to have to update everything. When we first got our trust, William wasn't born. So after he was born, we had to update it to make sure that he was included in everything. So you have to get a trust, and then you have to keep it updated. Our particular trust has what's called did I put it in here? Yeah, it has what's called a capture clause, which means that even if we go buy some property, but we forget to legally transfer it into the trust will automatically claim it. Right? And so we have a capture clause inside of our trust. And so I'm telling you, you absolutely need I don't know rich people that don't have trust. I don't. It's one of the basic foundational things that you need to have, okay? And so a trust, okay? Now, then you got to have some kind of retirement fund, okay? And there is a handout, the bottom one, okay? Just hand that to everybody. So you got to have some kind of retirement fund. And so I listed a bunch of them on this handout for you guys, but some of the typical ones that you guys have probably heard of would be like the 401k. Anybody heard of that? Okay. A traditional IRA. Anybody heard of that? All right. And then a Roth IRA. Anybody heard of that? Yes, absolutely. All right. And so there's a bunch of different ones depending upon where you work and depending upon your lifestyle situation, all of that, you can get, there's a bunch of different retirement vehicles, but however you decide, you need one, okay, or multiple of them, all right? And so, and again, this is a part of your foundation, all right? Everybody with me? Okay, here we go. Now, when it comes to trading, for some of you, this is old hat, but for some of you, you need to set up, Prince, can you hand out the next page? You need to set up a brokerage account, okay? You need to set up a brokerage account, okay? It's not going to do any good to talk about investing in stocks and you do not have a brokerage account. You need to have a brokerage account, okay? And so there's a bunch of different brokerage accounts or brokerages to choose from. There's a bunch of them, okay? And so what is a brokerage account? It's simply a place that gives you access to the stock market. That's all a brokerage account is. So think of it like a bank account, but what it does is it gives you access to the stock market. So once you get your brokerage account, you now have access to all of the companies on the stock market. You can begin to purchase those companies. And so how do you set up your brokerage account? It's actually really, really simple. It's not that difficult. The first thing you do is you select a broker and log into the website or the app, okay? Just about all the brokerages, they have websites and apps. So you can go into your Play Store. You can download whatever the app it is, whichever one you decide, and just log into it and pull it up, okay? Step number 2 is that you search inside of the app or online, you search for open account, right? Open an account, okay? So you select your brokerage, and then you select open an account. Now, on the page I just handed you, there's far more brokerages than what I listed on the page. I listed the most common ones that people use, Okay? And I also put in there a little bit of commentary about what some of the differences are between the brokerages. Okay? And so, again, search for open an account, and then you just fill in your information. Okay? So it's going to ask you some very simple questions. You just fill in your information, and then what you have to do is you have to connect your bank account. What that is that wherever you bank, you're going to link your bank account to your brokerage account. It's a really simple process. You put in your routing number, and then you put in your account number, and then the brokerage is going to send you, normally this is how they do it. They send you like 1 or 2 deposits, and it'll be like 3 cents or 7 cents or something like that. And then they'll tell you, when you get the deposits that we send, bring those amounts, and when you log back into your account, you have to put in the exact amount that they deposited into your account, which for them verifies this is the actual account, okay? And then once that happens, your account is linked to your brokerage account, and you can begin to transfer money from your bank account to your brokerage account, okay? And there's, for most of the brokerages, there's no fees, anything for that. It's just really, really simple. You just click, move, you tell them what amount, and then you hit it, and it takes a couple days, and then your money shows up in your brokerage account. That's also how you get money out of your brokerage account back into your bank account, right? So you move $1,000 over to your brokerage account, you invest it, you make $10,000, you take $9,000, and you move it back into your regular account, right? And you got your money, okay? And so it's a really, really, really simple process. Yes, ma'am. What do you mean? Uh-huh. Oh, yeah. So if you have another account, this can happen too. You can have another account, and so all the what brokerages love is when people sign up and bring their money over there. So I could have an account at Prince Bank, right? And I got stock over here that I invested with Prince Bank. But I'm going to open up at Messina Bank. Right? Messina Brokerage. All I got to do is tell Messina Brokerage, okay, listen, I got some money over there at Prince Bank. I need you to handle that for me. And Messina Brokerage is going to say, no problem. So once I give her the information about Prince Bank, she's going to start talking to Prince Bank and go get my money. And after about a week or so, it's going to show up over at Messina Brokerage. Anything over there, she going to get it. Yep, she gonna go get it. So I did that same thing. I had a self-directed IRA, traditional IRA, at a company called Pensco. Pensco was charging me way too many fees for nothing, for letting my money sit. I would look at my statement, and it's $143 a month just for my money sitting. And I was like, So I called, and because most of my stuff is with E-Trade. I just like E-Trade. So I called up E-Trade, and I was like, hey, I got and they was like, yeah, just do the transfer. We'll take care of it. Okay. So I put in the account for Pensco and all that. Listen, about 7 days later, all of my stuff, money, stocks, everything, was sitting over there in E-Trade looking at me with no fees. So they make it really, really easy for you to move anything, okay? And so, So connect your bank account, deposit money into your brokerage account, and then if you need to, and this probably works well for most people, set up recurring deposits, okay? It's optional. Set up recurring deposits. And most of the brokerages, and that's why I say you got to think of your brokerage like a bank account, because most of the brokerages, you can do direct deposits into your brokerage account, right? Like you can scan your check or whatever, and it goes straight to your broker. Like they got all of they got all the same things that the banks have, except it's a brokerage account. Okay, and so for many of us, especially those of us who kind of, because everybody's not as diligent with their money and moving things from left to right, that may be a good option for you, is that you just set up recurring deposits. So, but my son with his account, I have him set up recurring deposits. I set up one on, I just wanted to see how good it worked. I set up one on one of my trading accounts, and I set it up to take out $200 every month from another account, and when it takes the $200 out, it automatically buys a certain stock, right? So every month, it's $200 every month going on a certain stock like clockwork. I don't have to do anything. It just happens, right? And so I set it up. It works well, okay? So that's how you set up your brokerage account. So question, if you already have one set up, who do you use? Fidelity? Okay, good.
Fondo. It's an app it's an app that I use. Is Fondo.
Fondo. Okay. Good.
$20.
Robinhood. Good. $20. Okay. Huh? Fidelity. Robinhood. Good. Fidelity. Robinhood. Good. Fidelity. Robinhood. Charles Schwab. I'm the only E-Trader. Okay. All right. Vanguard. I love Vanguard. They old and good. I love Vanguard. All right. Okay, so here we go. Yes, ma'am.
Some of them don't do certain things, right? Like
Correct.
so, like some brokerage don't do ETFs, and some brokerage don't do crypto and stuff like that.
Right.
And in those circumstances, you kind of have to have like two separate brokerage at that point. But is it like worth it to like have like more than one brokerage at? Is there any? What I'm asking is like, is there any benefits or not benefit or negative to having more than one brokerage?
No, it's just if you have multiple brokerages, it's just more that you're managing, just in different locations. But it doesn't advantage you to have everything in one location, and it doesn't disadvantage you, and it doesn't advantage you to have it all spread out. It just different brokerages do different things, and so like for instance, I like E-Trade for trading, right? Just everything that they have for trading itself, I love it. But I can't do partial shares on
That's
E-Trade.
what I was going to ask you next was like, because I know that Charles Schwab, they do like, you could do micro or, whatever, which you was calling like partial share for people who are at beginners.
Yes.
So like in that aspect, would you like recommend that for like a beginner type of like?
If you're the person that you want to invest, but you don't have like all of the money to go get some of these big stocks, because some of these things are super expensive, but they're highly investable. That's okay, right? You find a brokerage. I know Robinhood does it, Webull does it, a few of them do it. But find a brokerage that will allow you to do partial shares, and you can go in and buy 1/10 of a share, a half of a share, quarter of a share, and start there for sure, absolutely.
But then I heard that that's harder to like, like get out of it. You know what I'm saying? Or like, when you want to start doing bigger things, and you like, okay, now I want to like. Trade in those shares and stuff like that and go to something higher. Is it like difficult to like do in micro share?
No. I've never had so I deal in micro shares in this way, right? I will purchase shares, and then I'll get, for some of the stocks, you get dividends. The dividends are normally not big enough to purchase whole shares, so they'll purchase micro shares for you. When it's time for me to sell, I'll tell it to sell everything, and sometimes it'll do like a partial sale. It'll sell the big blocks, and then it'll tell me everything didn't sell, and then a couple of minutes later it'll tell me it got rid of the partial shares too. So they got it all squared away. Normally it's not a big, especially if you're on a brokerage that deals in partial shares. I've never seen it be a problem. Yeah. That's it. Oh, fractional, yes. Thank you. Yeah, fractional shares. All right, so let's see. Okay, so what's needed to open your account are 4 things. Number 1, you're going to need your social security number. Number 2, you're going to need a bank account. Number 3, you're going to need a photo ID. And then number 4, you got to give some personal information. Now, that seems overly simplistic, but I need to say it. Why? Because some of us are conspiracy theorists. Right? I ain't giving them people my information. Listen. You got to give them people your information. How about this? They already have it. Right? Right? How about that? Right there. Yeah, they already have it. Okay. So, all right, here we go. So let's look at this. Let's look at the breakdown of the stock market, okay? So there are 4 major index holders in the U.S. stock market, okay? There's others, but there's 4 major ones. And what I mean by index is that it's like a club, right? An index is like a club, and that's where the index is where the stocks sit. It's kind of where they're housed, right? And so the first one, or first 4, is you have the S&P 500, you have the Dow Jones, you have the NASDAQ, and you have the Russell 2000. Okay? Those are your 4 major indexes. But then you got other smaller ones like OTC and all that, right? But these are the 4 major ones. So the S&P 500, this houses the leading 500 companies in the U.S. Okay? Top 500 companies in the U.S. Typically by market cap and performance. We'll talk about market cap in another session. All right? But those are the companies that are inside of what we call the S&P 500. This particular index, people use this index to measure, listen carefully, to measure the health of the stock market overall. Okay? People use these to measure the health of the stock market overall. And you'll see like the ticker symbol SPY, which is like an ETF of the S&P 500. I explained ETF last week. And so a lot of times when people who are trading, day trading and all of that, they spend a lot of time looking at SPY, right? Because they're trying to track the S&P 500. If you cut on CNBC or whatever it is, and you see the tickers rolling at the bottom and all of that, they'll always have S&P and then this big, huge number, and then how much it's up or down or whatever, right? Because depending on what those numbers look like, it will tell you the health of the stock market. Okay? And so S&P is a big one. The next one is the Dow Jones. The Dow Jones only has 30 companies in it. These companies are considered what we call blue chip stocks, meaning these are well-established companies. They're very old. They typically are extremely reliable. They've been around forever. Yeah. And so the Dow typically, again, and it's just 30 companies, right? Most of them are going to pay some kind of dividend, and the dividends are pretty decent. And so this, and again, people use the Dow to measure the health of companies, right? And the S&P is used to measure the health of the entire stock market. But the Dow is used to measure the health of large companies in the stock market. Does that make sense? Okay. And then you have the next one, which is called the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ is where a lot of your tech companies hang out, the majority of them, right? They're all over there hanging out in the NASDAQ. And then the last one is what we call the Russell 2000. The Russell 2000 is where you have a lot of your medium to small cap companies that sit in the Russell 2000, meaning they're just smaller companies, okay? They're not as valued as some of the other bigger ones, and so they hang out on the Russell 2000. Everybody with me so far? Companies. Yep. Yep. All right. Now, there are 11 sectors, what we call sectors, within the stock market. Okay? So just so you know, here are the sectors. You have information technology, right? That's tech. You have healthcare, financials, consumer discretionary, communication services, industrials, consumer staples, energy, utilities, real estate, and materials, which means this: every single solitary company that is a publicly traded company fits into one of these sectors on the stock market. Is everybody clear? Does that make sense? Okay. Now, this is important to understand, because when you start to look at it and understand it, you start to figure out some of these sectors do better than other sectors, right, historically. And so what you want to do, what I do, I hang out in the sections that tend to do better, right, because there's more money flowing over there. Okay? All right, so here we go. Watch this. Now, I have a question for you. Here's my question. Where do you typically focus? When you think about you, when you think about your life, where do you typically focus? Are you typically focused on the past? Are you typically focused on the present? Or are you typically focused on the future? Don't be lying. Do you, that's all, just flow with me. Do you typically, like when you're thinking, when you live your life, this is your life, are you typically focused more on the past? You reminiscing, you want to go back, you.
Say it like that. I mean, you can, if you go to the past, you can go back where you came from and where you at now.
Yeah.
If you had to go through that journey to get there.
Yeah.
You can say the past then, if you don't say it like that.
So temporarily,
And that,
maybe in the past, not stuck in it.
Not stuck in it, but you know where I come from.
that's what.
This is where I come from, and I don't want to go back there.
No, ain't no problem with that. I'm asking, is my focus
Oh no, not
on the past, or hold on, is my focus on the present? I'm looking at my bills, I'm looking at my situation, I'm consumed with my present. Or is my focus, how I think, how I move, how I act, is it in the future? Right? Now, why is that important? Why is that important? Because, listen carefully, if you're going to invest in the stock market, listen to me carefully. The stock market is a future-looking entity. It is always looking at tomorrow. it does not care about today. It could care less about yesterday. The stock market is, listen to me, it is focused on tomorrow 100% of the time. This is why, if you're going to invest in stocks, if you're a person and your focus is in the past, you're going to have some trouble investing. If your focus is on the present, you're going to have some trouble investing. You have to focus on the future. Why? Because the entity that you're looking to help you, that's how it works. It works on tomorrow. It functions on tomorrow. It thinks tomorrow. It doesn't think right now. Right? So, and this is why, listen carefully, this is why, about to get into a little deeper waters now. Here we go. This is why we have to pay attention. We have to read and we got to pay attention, listen carefully, to politics. You have to watch and know the news. Not just American news. You got to pay attention to the global stuff. You have to understand current events. You got to know cultural changes and what's happening. Listen to me carefully. The unseen things are usually where the value is. Why? Because as an investor, think about this. As an investor, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to figure out where things are going to be tomorrow. And when I figure out where things are going to be tomorrow, when it's super cheap, I go put my money there. So that by the time I get from here to tomorrow, something waiting for me. Because I thought about tomorrow. Is everybody with me? Right? So let me give you a past, present, future lesson. We look to the past to learn. We look to the future to live. Or excuse me, to the present to live. But we look to the future to live better. Right? Like, oh my God. I had somebody, I made some kind of post or something about investing in stocks or whatever. And so one of my friends came on and was like, and she was, and you know, she was running down AI. Oh, this AI and AI, you can't invest in that, and that's going, and this is that. And I'm like, listen, lady. Listen here, lady. One of the things that technology does not do is it does not retreat. I don't care if you don't like it. Tough. It's just, right? It doesn't retreat. Right? People objected at VCRs. Listen, people objected at VCR. People objected at cable. People objected at cell phones. People objected at iPods. Every technological innovation, people got a problem with it. But it doesn't stop. It keeps going, and it does not care if you don't like it, and it does not care if you don't agree with it, and it does not care if you understand it or not. Right? So if it's going to come and I can't stop it, listen, I need to go ahead and see what's coming and put something there so that because I'm going to get here, and when I get here, I can't, like, you're not going to leave me all the way behind. Right? I may frustrated, but it's paying me. Right? That thing is paying me. Oh man. So if we never get an idea of what's coming, we will all, listen carefully. If we never get an idea of what's coming, we will always be reacting. This is our problem with Trump. We ain't see it coming because we didn't want to. No, listen to me. We didn't really want to see him. We should have saw him coming at the correspondence dinner when Obama was giving him the business. And we ain't pay attention. And now that Trump is here, the majority of us are in reaction mode. Why? Because we did not take time to look into the future to see what was coming, to properly position ourselves before. So that when he got here, oh man, I don't like the dude, but he paying me. Right? Because I properly position. See, this is, and again, this is one of the things that we have to learn. I don't have to like you, and I don't have to like your politics. I don't have to vote for you. But if I see you coming, let me reposition. Because if you show up and what happens, I can oppose you from a comfortable place. Right? So is everybody with me? So watch this. You gotta know the future. And one of the things about the stock market is it is unpredictable but predictable. Right? There's a bit of, remember what I told you last week? When it comes to investing, remember I told you we're not gambling? That's not what we do. We do not gamble. And the reason why we don't gamble is because we invest with information. We invest with knowledge, right? So we don't just run out and buy stuff. We pay attention to what happens. And so within the stock market is very cyclical, right? It works in a cyclical way. Right? And so this is the cyclical market returns within the S&P from 1980 to 2024. The two worst times to run in the market and start chasing stuff. So July normally is a run up. But if you're buying in July, listen, you're about to hit August and September. And these historically September is historically the worst month to go into the market buying things at top prices. But if you know, September is the greatest month to go shopping. That Black Friday for the stock market is September. Right? Because all kind of companies, 20% off, 30% off, 40% off. Right? And then normally it picks back up in October. November is normally really good. And then December, this is what they call the Christmas rally. You get it's the end of the year, what they call Christmas rally. Right? And stock prices are going up. So just think if you bought here and held to here. Are you with me? Right? So now, this is what everybody says. Everybody I listen to says the same thing. The stock market gives you a good historical pattern of its behavior. However, history does not always repeat itself, but it does rhyme. Okay? And so right now, we're in November? December. We're in December. Okay, so we're in December. Now, so here's what's happened, right? Because market conditions have changed. And the change in the market condition is Trump. Right? It's Trump. Because Trump does things that no other president does. And so he's throwing off this normal pattern. He threw that way off. And so what happened is we got to September, and September was actually way up here. Right? And so anybody who was in September, everybody, I'm telling you, because I'm in like 4 or 5 different groups, stock groups, and everybody was like, is this September? Okay, September, right? Because everybody was expecting blue, 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 right? But September was skyrocketing. But then some people were like, well, shoot, if September was like that, and they kept going. But then when we got to October and November, they was down here. And now we kind of bottoming out almost, and December is just shaky right now. We don't know what's going to happen. And the reason why we don't know what's going to happen is because the market is waiting to see, is Jerome Powell going to lower them interest rates? Right? Because if he lowered the interest rates, that means that companies can go get money for the cheap, which means the stock prices start skyrocketing, right? But then every time you get a notification, Trump has an announcement today at 2 o'clock, everybody be like, because ain't no telling what he about to say. You know what I mean? And so, because we're doing 3,000% tariffs on China. And then the market, blue, 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 right? And so he's throwing off the matrix of it, the metrics of it. But there's still a lot of it that's holding true. So at least what we're finding out this year is that since September was up here, September actually moved to October, November. And everybody's expecting for November and December to show up by mid-December into January. Is everybody with me? Right now. Okay? Right now. Yeah. Right now is a good right now is a good time to buy, but don't you got to think of the stock market like double Dutch. It's double Dutch, right? And when you watch double Dutch and they got them ropes twirling, you got somebody, right? they like, and what they doing? They getting ready because they trying to find their spot. And then when they find their spot, right, and now they running, right? They doing their thing. What you don't want to do is say, ooh, double Dutch. Boom, 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 boom. You don't want to do that. You want to learn the pattern, right? you want to learn the pattern, okay? And so now is a good time to buy. And so let me give you this quickly. I'm gonna give you this quickly. I'll explain it in much more detail later, but I'll give it to you quickly. Here we go. On your paper, I want you to do write 1, 2, 3. Just 1, 2, 3. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Now, I'm gonna give you buy zones. Okay? A buy zone is a good time to purchase. Okay? And so, what you want to do, you never want to buy a stock at full price. You never want to buy a company at full price, right? And so, your first buy zone, and this is where you lightly buy, is if the stock is 10% off. And what you're looking for is 10% off of its all-time high. Right? 10% off the all-time high. That's the buy zone. That's a light buy zone. That's number one. Right? All-time high. So if you have a stock and the all-time high is $100, what's 10% off that? $90. That's a good place to buy, right? But you don't want to go deep, right? You don't want to go deep. The next place, 20%. 20%. That's number 2. 10, 20, and then the number 3, 30. 10, 20, 30%. Okay? 30%, when you start getting stocks that are 30% off or more, that's when you start loading the boat. Right? That's when you load up. Okay? Now, it's not every stock that is 10, 20, or 30% off. Sometimes stocks are 10, 20, 30% off or more because they need to be. Right? They don't deserve to be where they were at all-time highs. And so my job over the next few sessions is to teach you how to pick good, solid, healthy companies so you know what companies to buy if they're off. Does that make sense? Okay? So, and at the end of this, I'll give you a list. Here we go. So, talking about the future, watch this. Pay attention. Boom! There we go. Here we go. Now, this is from the Republican Party of Texas, which is claiming President Trump has brought over $7.6 trillion in historic investment to America since he took office. These investments will not only create jobs, but will once again make the United States economy the envy of the world. Thank you to President Trump for fighting to secure our economic future. Y'all with me? Okay. Now, here we go. Pay close attention. Write this down. Forget about how you feel about this. Okay? Get out of your feelings. Here's the truth. What Trump is doing is what's called a wealth transfer. Okay? This happens every so often within America, is we have wealth transfers. Okay? You saw it when the United States went from agricultural to industrial. Wealth transfer. Then we went from industrial to information. Wealth transfer. Then we went from information to tech. Wealth transfer. Right? And so every so often, America has these wealth transfers. We missed the latest one. And I know you missed it because you're here listening to me. Everybody caught it. They don't care nothing about what I'm talking about. I missed it because I wasn't thinking like an investor. I was thinking like a consumer. I missed the crypto wealth transfer. I totally missed it. And let me tell you the cold part. Joe Coleman, who used to work our AV. Joe was he's a techie guy. So when we were on Central, Joe came in one day and he was like, "Pastor, man, you ever heard of cryptocurrency?" And I was like, "What's that?" And he was like, "It's like electronic money." And my brain started trying to understand it. And I was like, nah, what, like, how does it work? And he was trying to tell me, and he was like, man, it's kind of complicated, but like you got to picture like it's money, but it's electronic. Like it's not like a real, like they have this thing called Bitcoin. And so I was like, Bitcoin, like, and I'm like, is it a real coin? And he was like, nah, it's not a coin. And I'm like, well, why they call it a coin if it ain't a real coin? And he was like, no, you just got to understand, like it's like money, but it's electronic. And I'm like, wait, like a transfer? Like if I, from one bank to it, he was like, nah, it's totally different. And he was trying to explain it to me, and he didn't quite understand it, but I totally didn't understand it. And he was like, and Joe said, he ain't buy none. Joe said, he told me, he said, Pastor, man, if you can, he said, man, just get some. It's about to be the next big thing. And I was like, yeah, okay. Man, give me that cord. We got to run these speakers in. Right? If I would have just put $500, right? Because at the time that he told me, it was like 60 cents, 50 cents. If I could have just put 500 on it, right? Just take a flyer. Just see what it do. Oh, right? I missed it. Why? Because from that, I didn't even go home to research it. Because I wasn't thinking like an investor. I was thinking like a consumer. I wasn't, and here's the thing. When you think like a consumer, you're not thinking about the future. You're thinking about the present. And this is the change that has to take place for us to be good investors. We have to think future. And so we miss that wealth transfer. But there's another one in place right now, happening right now. AI. AI, listen to me. The fastest growing demographic in the United States are billionaires. It's the fastest growing demographic. People are becoming billionaires at the rate that people were becoming millionaires. And where we're about to go, trillionaires. And if I'm not even a thousandaire, right? I'm not even a thousandaire, right? Listen, we should, right? I got to be at least a thousandaire, right? And so, and what I'm saying is that you have $7.6 trillion flowing through America. The question is, how much of it can you grab? None of it if we're not properly positioned. And oh my gosh. I almost want to cry. Oh, I almost want to cry. Because I'm tired of black and brown people we hurting. We're hurting. And the money, and here's our problem. We're trying to figure out how to play with the products rather than invest in them. We're so excited about what our phone can do now. Oh, look, I can make this video and we spending time making cartoons on a phone. And these folk are back here creating stuff to keep us distracted from paying attention to the 7.6. And we just as proud, and we take pride in what we purchase. Right? And so, it just is, to me, is super, super frustrating. Which is why, like, when I started learning this stuff and getting into it, I was like, man, I got to teach this. I'm like, listen, we got to wake up. Why? So anyway, that's the key, right? So now here's the thing. Almost done. Here we go. I want you to look at where Trump's focus is on the spending of the 7.6. You got to understand this. Trump's focus on the spending of the 7.6 is in 5 areas. You ready? Here we go. AI and tech. There's a whole war going on, and most of us don't even know. Like y'all ain't hearing me. It's a whole war going on right now between the U.S., China, Taiwan, right? And the war is over AI and tech. Because China is trying to be the superpower of the world. And the United States is like, nah, we're the number one superpower in the world. And I'm telling you, there's an entire war going on right now between the U.S. and China and who's going to win this tech race. Right now, U.S. is winning. Absolutely, 100%. We winning it. But Jensen Huang, who is the CEO of NVIDIA, the largest company in the world, has said China's going to end up winning this. Right? Now, here's the thing, and here's what most of us don't see. China is doing the exact opposite of everything America is doing. So America, what Trump is trying to do, here's Trump. Trump has one foot in yesterday, and he has another foot in tomorrow, and he cannot decide which way to go. Because what he's trying to do is he's trying to reestablish America the way he saw it when he was young. That's the whole thing that's behind Make America Great Again. Right? Because what he envisions is this militaristic America, this America that has this raw, bold power, and everybody fears America, and that's the idea that he has of it. That it's everything American, everything America. It's all America. China's like, nah. Let's go do business around the world. Isn't it interesting that you can go anywhere in the world, and when you show up anywhere in the world, you'll find a Chinatown. You have never went anywhere in the world and found an America town. Because what China does is China gets in, and they get in wherever they are, and they buy up everything. They're doing it all over Africa. Big time. The beauty industry. Listen, if you're a black person, you can't even open a beauty supply. You can't get it at the rates they can get it. And so they come in, they buy up everything. And again, this is not hate on them. They got their business together. Right? And so they're doing their thing. Trump wants the old America that just goes in and, right? But then what does China do? China becomes friends with Russia and friends with other people. So you can't just run in and take stuff, because when you run in and take stuff, now you got to deal with Nuck them. Because we friends over here, right? So, and I'm telling you, this whole, watch this. You heard about the killing of the Christians in Nigeria? And then Trump said he wanted to send troops to Nigeria. And now everybody's talking about, right, especially if you're for Trump, you're like, yeah, see, he cares about people in Nigeria and the Christians over there, and he wants to go and blah, 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 right? Now, hold on. If they killing Christians like that in Nigeria, I would love for the U.S. military to go over there and to help people, because they've been to other places and they tend to stay out of African or predominantly black countries to help. However, this is what I discovered. A few months ago, China announced that they were going to restrict America to purchase rare earth materials. America is dependent on getting 80% of its rare earth materials from China. China put restrictions on it. Why is that big? Because you need rare earth materials in order to create the tech. So China said, we're going to restrict it. That's when Trump came out and said, I'm putting 100% tariffs on China. And we're not giving them no soybeans or nothing. Right? He went into panic mode. Right? So this is what I found out. Not only that, America has a deal with China for about 70-80% of rare earth materials, but America also has been getting rare earth materials from Nigeria. But then Nigeria they woke up and they decided that they wanted to protect and build their own currency. So instead of, because the way that it was working is that America would go into Nigeria and America would set up the plants and the works and all that kind of stuff, and they would pull out the raw materials, and then America would process it and then turn it into what we needed it to be, which gave us maximum value. Then this is what Nigeria did. Nigeria said, no, we're going to pump up our own economy. We'll do the processing, and then we'll sell it to you processed.
And they're letting go of the European currency, too.
And they're letting go.
Saying, we don't want y'all no more.
Come on now.
That messed me up.
Come on now. Right? So once Nigeria said, we're going to do our own processing and sell it to you processed, that cuts out a lot of the profit that America was getting from going to Nigeria. So now what does Trump want to do? He wants to get friendly with Nigeria, right? On some, we here to protect you, right? But there's an underlying current of what's happening is I need the materials. Are y'all with me? Okay. So watch this. So I'm going to give you the 5 sectors. AI tech. Now, watch this. President Trump hosts a dinner with tech giants. Everybody at this table, billionaires. Okay? Everybody's billionaires. These are the people that run just about all of the super large tech companies that we know of. Right? You got Sam Altman in here. You got Bill Gates over here. You got what's the guy who runs Apple? Tim Cook. So you got Tim Cook in here. You got Mark Zuckerberg in here. Right? You got all of these people who run all of these big major billion and trillion dollar tech companies at the round table, and Trump is hosting dinner with tech giants. Now, What's the most cringy part of this photo? Cringy. Because here's the question. After all these years, after all these marches, after all these protests, where are we at? Right? And I don't know them two dudes, but I can tell you right now, the worst thing them two dudes could do is not pay attention. No, let me tell you how I got this. Let me tell you where I got this photo. I got this photo from my phone because this was broadcast live on TV. And when I looked at my TV, my eyes went straight to the bros right there. I hurried up and grabbed my phone and snapped the photo. I was like, I got to teach this. This is a teachable moment on national TV in 2025. Right? We still in the bag. And there are trillions of dollars running across this table. Every one of these people got deals with each other. We ain't even at the table. Right? So here we go. Rare earths. That's the second focus for the 7.6, rare earths. Okay? That's number 2, rare earths. Now, watch this. Trump administration's stake is a signal of profit. Who will be the next lucky one to receive funding? So all of these companies, these are ticker symbols for companies that produce these rare earth materials. Now, these companies are the companies that Trump, the U.S. government, has taken a stake in and investing in. So the U.S. government has a stake in Intel. In fact, I won't even get into that. That's a whole nother. But there's this one, MP, LAC, and then TMQ. TMQ is actually a Canadian company. Right? TMQ, I think their stock price is like $6 or something. Right? So here's the thing. The U.S. already has agreements with these companies. There are other companies that can possibly, they're actually trying to get an agreement with the U.S. because that government money, that thing is spendable. It don't stop. It keep coming, right? And so the couple of companies that everybody has their eye on. Number one is this one, U.S. Rare Earths, right? USAR. That's another one. CRML, Critical Minerals. TMC, and then there's one more. I forget the ticker for it. But those are like what everybody's looking at as front runners, right? And so the idea is you can go get USAR, but you don't know if they're going to get a deal or not, right? USAR has so much hype behind it a few months ago. Their stock got up to like $40, $50. But right now, I think it's down to like 13 because they were slotted to get a deal and then it didn't happen. So then people start bagging out. Now, the question is, do I go put 500 here and see what happens? Right? That's right. That's I don't know. And so again, but the 7.6, this is where it's going. AI tech, rare earths, and then American manufacturing. One of the things, and he gets criticized for it, but one of the things that he is doing is he is making companies come and reinvest in America and open up more factories and whatnot here. He's just doing it. And the way he's doing it is through tariffs. because he's telling companies that in order to avoid the tariffs, then you have to set up something here and begin to manufacture here, right? And so that's actually happening. TSM, Taiwan Semiconductor, has spent billions of dollars, and they're opening a plant in Arizona. Wait till I explain the whole AI piece to you and all the players. Y'all gonna be like, what? But anyway, so that's that. So AI, rare earths, American manufacturing, defense, right? That's this piece. Yeah, right. It's this piece, right? In the past, he wants to show. He likes. Listen, over there, Kim Jong-un, when they be doing they marching, and listen, Trump like that. he like that. So, yeah, he like that. All right, so defense. And so what he's talking about doing is building what this thing that they call a golden dome. You heard about that? Yeah. And so, but anyway, let me. Huh? Yeah. In Ghana, they just built a huge base in Ghana. Huge, big. Yeah. See, and that's one of the differences. America seeks to set up military operations and companies. China seeks to set up neighborhoods.
They don't allow one person to own a pack by themselves. It has to be everyone who ever touched a product. They do that to spread the wealth. They do it to spread the wealth. That's why you go there and you don't see people who are homeless.
Yeah.
You don't see all that kind of stuff that's going on. How they work together to take care of the children and the health care and all of those things.
Yeah.
And they teach their children in the beginning where we raise children, they raise adults to be resourceful. Like we do arithmetic and all that kind of stuff. That's not what they do.
Yeah.
They teach them how to think and to be creative.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's a totally different way.
Yeah.
And they don't have special ed neither. If a child learns different, they teach that child that way. They do not have a special ed department,
Yeah.
all of that other type of stuff. They just learn how to teach that kid the way that kid needs to learn.
Yeah, all of it is different, for sure, because and America is set up on the I forget what the formal term for it, but our educational system is based on the it's like a it's not colonial. What is it? No, it's a European way of learning. But I forget the technicals of it. But it's designed. So our learning system is designed. The idea is to make you a well-rounded individual. So you take multiple subjects in school, and then you build on that, and then so like if you guys have been to school, so when you go, like they'll tell you have certain requirements, right? You have general education that you have to do, and this, that, or the other, and a lot of that stuff may not have anything to do with what you're gonna do or whatever, but they want you to learn it, and the reason why they want you to learn it is because the educational system is based on this European way of making people sort of these well-rounded people, but then it kind of misses people who need to focus, right? Who are extremely intelligent, but they're not auditory learners, right? It misses the people who are tactile learners, or, So anyway, but I get it. I get exactly what you're saying. Okay. So here we go. Number 5 is energy. Okay, energy. Okay. Yeah. Yep. All right, so AI tech, rare earths, American manufacturing, defense, and energy. Now, here's what you need to know. Energy is required by AI tech. In fact, it's driving it. Rare earths, AI tech, it's driving it. Okay? Manufacturing, AI is driving that too. All right? And so here we go. There's a shopping list. This is a small one, but there's a shopping list. Every single one of the companies I just listed on this list are companies that I own or invest in, or I have options contracts in. Not every one of them, but I do own, some of the ones that's up here. But all of these companies, what you will find is that they are companies that are essential inside of the wealth transfer that's happening. It's running through these companies, right? And some of these are power companies. Some of these are data center companies. Some of these are tech companies, semiconductor companies. Some of these are manufacturers. Some of these are power companies. Like you have GEV. I don't know if you guys know, but the company GE, a few years ago, split into 3 different companies. It split into GE, the regular GE that you know, General Electric, light bulbs and the such. But then another company came out of it, GEV. GEV is a power company, the big turbine power type situations. And then there's another third one, GE Healthcare. And so they have 3 branches. And since they broke up and started those 3 companies, the CEO he's a dynamite CEO. And he's taken the company and really turned it around, and like they rolling big time. Okay? And so all of these are companies that you might want to take a look at. Now, some of those up there are rare earth companies as well. Now, I'm not telling you go buy them. I'm giving you an example of where some of that 7.6 is showing up. And if you want some of the 7.6, you're going to need to begin to lock in on some of these, because they're running it through these companies. Okay? Does that make sense? All right. So we'll get into more details later. So did I do good with the simple to the little bit more complicated? Right? Okay. All right, good.
When you say American manufacturer, does that mean like car companies too? Is that included in there, or is that just like the raw material when you're saying manufacturing?
Manufacturing would be I haven't seen
Like Panasonic, would you say stuff like that, or the stuff that Panasonic needs to make?
So what Trump wants to do is he wants to bring regular manufacturing back. A lot of U.S. companies, huh?
For like raw material manufacturing?
He wants that done here too. And so, but for years, what America has done, a lot of American companies have went overseas in order to produce their products, because it was cheaper. You get the cheap labor, you get the cheap products, the whole nine. So, and there wasn't a tariff on them, so they were making maximum dollars. But like now, like for instance, like Apple, right? You cannot. It is impossible to build an iPhone in America. It's impossible, yeah. Yeah. It costs too much. And an iPhone built in America would probably cost you about $5,000, $6,000. And so much of the manufacturing, the materials, everything is made overseas and shipped in. The most that we would do is assemble it. But in terms of producing the materials, we don't do that. And so, absolutely. Absolutely. Right?
So you talking about companies that make like the components that are.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And I'm saying like almost anything. Almost anything from companies that have gone overseas to do business because what China has done over the last like 50 years is they've become the number one manufacturing country in the world. Everybody uses them to make everything. And so they got the whole setup. They can do it cheap. Everything, right? And so Trump is like, nah, like bring that home. And so what he's doing is he's putting tariffs on things to make it more expensive for the companies to do business. But the part about tariffs, what people miss, is that a tariff is not a tax on a company; it's a tax on the people, right? Yeah, because like if I'm getting my mouse made in Mexico, because we don't have the manufacturing and everything to make it here, but I send the blueprints and everything to Mexico. They make them, ship them, I get them. And then Trump says, okay, we're going to put a 40% tariffs on anything coming from Mexico. Well, now I'm not making any profit because when I go pick up all my mice, I don't want to say mouses. When I go pick these things up, I got to pay what I paid them plus 40%. So what I'm going to do then is when I put them on the shelf, I'm going to raise my price 40%. And then people are going to stop buying it. And then my company's going to suffer. So now I got to make a choice. I got to bring my manufacturing back if we're going to stay afloat. Right? But then the interim problem, because this stuff takes years to do, way past Trump's presidency. So the problem, though, is that tariffs are inflationary by nature. So that's why, like, when you have gone into the stores and you run into stuff and it's, like, a lot more expensive, that's why. Because the tariffs, and they're raising prices. I understand what he's trying to do. I get the philosophy of it. But the execution, though, is tough. Yes, sir.
Also, what I was reading about was with these tariffs,
Yeah.
all it's really doing is driving up the prices for the American-made manufacturers.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
Because, okay, now this one costs $450.
Yeah.
Why can't I boost my prices up to $450?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's all, and the manufacturing part company, I mean, I worked in manufacturing.
Mm-hmm.
We got pretty much all of our electronic parts
Mm-hmm.
from overseas.
Overseas, yeah.
So the raw materials
They
still got
put
to come overseas.
certain
Yeah.
things together, and we get like 10,000 parts, and if we threw away
Yeah,
1,000 parts, we still were making money.
for sure.
But it's like it went from made in America to
Yeah.
assembled in America.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's really what it became. And so even the Make America Great Again hats, all of those were made in China. No, seriously. Yeah. And so either China or Taiwan, or you'll see tags that'll say Mexico sometimes, or stuff like that. Yeah, Indonesia, stuff like that, right? Malaysia, yeah. And so, but the goal is to increase American manufacturing. So, yeah. So anyway, thank you guys for coming out, and thank you guys for listening and attending. Hopefully you learned something. Yes, ma'am. Hold on, everybody. Miss Kathleen has an announcement right quick. So before we disperse.
Hold on. You have to speak all the way in, Dave. Good evening, everybody. Can we just make sure that we left the stuff here in the back that was a donation from Starbucks today back here for you? We did a major distribution today, but we saved some stuff that we need you to bag up and take tonight. This stuff has not got expiration dates that have passed yet, so this is all current stuff. Starbucks is one of those places, if it's the next day or two, they get rid of everything and start over. So we need you to take as much as we could because we were exhausted. We don't have refrigeration yet for our seed and feed program, so we need you to bag this up and take it home. But we also need you to sign in on the paper because we're keeping track of people. And if you've got a name of a person you're going to give the bag to, write your name and write the name of the person you're going to give the bag to. We're trying to keep as much track of how many individuals we're giving food to, even if it's our people at church.
Thank you, Miss Kathleen. And thank you, Feed and Seed. All right, love you guys. I'll see you guys on Sunday. Yes, I keep all of these. Okay.